Exciting.
Awesome. Well,
Good morning.
welcome back, everyone. Hi, welcome to the Military Retirement Blueprint. I'm Scott Tucker here with Mike Wallace from Blue Water Advisors. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, I got you loud and clear, sir.
Oh, hold on.
You got playing in the background there. You're multitasking.
I forgot I had it open in the background. But no, real excited for today's conversation. What we do on this podcast, if you're joining us for the first time, is Mike and I, my business with US Vet Wealth and Mike with Blue Water Advisors. We're serving retiring officers, senior NCOs, senior leaders coming out of the military on a daily basis. So every day, we were just kind of talking about this before we jumped on. Every day, we're meeting someone who's addressing this experience for the first time. So what we like to talk about on this show are the various topics that come up. And most of the time that's about, how do you find a job and stuff. But I'm a little dressed up today, more than normal.
For the topic du jour. Yeah.
I haven't worn a tie in years. It's kind of funny.
Did you remember how to tie it?
I did. I screwed it up a few times. This one is actually pretty short. If I was,
it's not a clip-on, is it? Come on, man.
No. I can do that. But if I had dress pants on, which I don't, I'm wearing my workout pants. But that's one of the things we struggle with. There was times where we'll share stories today and some insights, I think, from your perspective, what you learned, and what some of your members have learned over the years, and when it comes to dressing and grooming, because that's another thing that's SOP. It's pretty standard in the military, obviously, what you're going to be wearing and how you got to do your hair and all that stuff. So anyways, that's the topic of today. But before we get into that, I just want to put a reminder out there that on December 10th, we're going to be hosting a strategic networking call. It's just the idea to, for people that just want to come get on a Zoom call and talk about their experiences, network a little bit, get to meet some people, share some ideas, low impact environment, keep it simple. But to kind of take this conversation offline, obviously open it up to the Blue Water Network. So for those who want to come share insights or just want to kind of ask some questions in an open environment, to share lessons learned and stuff, that's what we want to offer to our audience. So appreciate. There's a link in the description on the LinkedIn event and the YouTube event, or you can message me if you want to get a link. But register for that on December 10th. And we'll talk about really kicking off for the new year, what we want to do with this networking group. Probably once a month type deal, but just a chance to get together, put some reps in, practice, without any stress of, all right, I'm going to this event, I got to be dialed in. Like, no, this isn't what this is about. This is about just kind of sharing experiences with each other. But cool, Mike.
The way you phrase that, Scott, end of the year, into next year, right? Dude, the year's almost gone.
Thanksgiving next week.
Yeah, Thanksgiving next week. Christmas holidays right after that. Our last cohort of the year, December 3rd, right? Look at that, man, with the little decorations popping up there. That's nice. I love it.
Nice StreamYard.
A little
put out some Thanksgiving things. So
nice.
Which, assuming we'll take next week off, it's probably going to be a tight week. I don't know. What are you doing for Thanksgiving?
Well, no, we're staying here local, right? But really, that's the week prior to our 3 December cohort, right? It's always strange for us at the end of the year. We usually do monthly cohorts. But when you get to the end of the year, we usually get 2 cohorts in 3 months, right? Just because of where Thanksgiving falls. We do our one at the end of October, which we just did at the Booz Allen Center for Innovation, the Helix building. And then as we lead up into Thanksgiving, it's always awkward to try to do one right before Thanksgiving, or certainly if we wait to the end of December, that's Christmas holidays. So we kind of just do one that first week of December, right, as just kind of a catch-all. It's a unique time, but anyway, that'll be our last one for the year. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, how I thought we kicked this off is when we got off of last week's episode, kind of the idea that made me want to talk about this subject is you were telling a story, or we were talking about, I'd had a beard the previous week and then I shaved it
Yeah.
off, and then I asked you, I was like, "Have you ever grown a beard?" And you're like, "No, I still shave every single day." And then you were talking about the haircut you used to have in active duty,
Oh
and
yeah.
how you took that to the corporate world, and
It didn't go over so well.
learned a little bit. So thought we kick it off by telling that story. I've got a couple stories I can tell from my experience, but then just get into some common questions or issues that come up, and we can keep it tight today.
Well, and again, for the listeners, right? It's a little bit of terminology from our prior life, right? Grooming standards, right? I guess that's would be the intro. Here is what we're talking about, and we do hear from many members, "Hey, what do I wear if I'm doing an interview?" Or it's online, it's in person. Is it always a suit and tie, right? And we do spend a little bit of time talking to members about this, right? Now, sometimes the easy answer is out there, and I'll just pick a company at random. For example, Northrop Grumman. If you're going to interview for a job at Northrop Grumman, you can go onto their website. In fact, I think they've got a link to it on their website. If not, you can find it. It's interview preparation and what they expect to see. If you're going to interview with the company, they tell you up front, this is what we want you to look like.
That's good.
And I think, and I say this is the easy answer up front. It takes the guesswork out of it, right? So for individuals that are pursuing their career progression and you come across this, right, you go, wow, this is a gold mine. It tells me exactly what. And their message, again, for the listeners, don't quote me on it, but it sounds something like this. I think they're talking to aspiring, interviewers, and they say, hey, while we are primarily, a khaki polo shirt company, we enjoy, those kind of semi-professional dress down kind of look. On occasion, we do expect our members, and I think they even phrase it like this, to be the forward face of our business. And when a company says we expect you to be the forward face, they mean you're going to be engaging clientele and you are going to be representing the company. And in those instances, we expect professional business attire, right? And they define it, they expect, suit, tie, shirt, right? Belt color matches the color of your shoes, like, certain types of cut, if you got the stripes on your tie going this way, that means one thing. I mean, they expect you to look professional as you represent the forward face of the company, which I think that's great information. I wish all companies did this. They just put it out there. And therefore, when you show up, there's no guesswork, right? You told me this is what you wanted me to show up and looking like. I'm now going to show you that, right? I think the challenge, Scott, comes like, what do you do if you can't find any guidance? I mean, like, what would you do, right? We're looking for intel, I guess, right?
Yeah.
And the short answer is I'm not sure there's just one response to this, right? You can, if you are networked into a company and you're having conversations, if you're wide and deep in a company, so you're talking to somebody, in the program management realm, project management realm, quality, process, talent acquisition, recruiting, HR, like you got a lot of different swim lanes. And you're 3-4 people deep in each of those swim lanes, that's wide and deep. You're networked wide and deep. I would query your network. Hey, what is the expectation of the company, right? That that I show up and exude, in my grooming standards, right? In my attire. Like, how does the company want to see me? And you'll
Right.
get some pretty good. Just ask the question, and that's not crossing a line. That's fair game, right? If you make it that far, just reach out and just say, "Hey, can you just spend a couple of minutes? What are the expectations for attire for this event?" Right? Hey, just be comfortable, Scott. Whatever makes you feel comfortable. Even that can be a little misleading because do you really want to show up in a t-shirt, shorts, and flip-flops, to an interview? Probably not. But
Even if that's the company's
you
day-to-day
know,
attire for the
maybe,
interview,
yeah, even
maybe
if
not.
you're interviewing for a lifeguard position, right? Is that the attire that you want to show up?
Right.
Probably, not. But you can start to tease out and do that data mining throughout your network and ask those questions. Um, but again, taking it a step further, right? Even in the social media world, for example, like LinkedIn, what do you want your professional picture to look like?
Yeah.
Right? Hey, we get this a lot from members. Well, I looked really good in my choker whites or my service dress uniform or whatever it happens to be. And man, I want to put this great picture of me up there. Well, is that going to be the attire that people that you are now going to work with in your new environment? Is that the attire that they'll expect to see you in? Probably not, right? So we like alignment on pictures like that. Hey, what does the company expect from you? Why don't you try showing them what is expected of you in that environment?
Yeah.
So, a couple of funny stories. When I went to interview for Amazon, right? And Amazon's a kind of a strange company. They are like many West Coast companies. In this case, when I was out in Seattle, like there are a lot of companies out there and a lot of tech and startup. They are really dressed down, right? Like, I mean, man, it is khakis and it's a polo shirt and maybe a button-up shirt, but certainly no jacket, no tie kind of thing. And that is how they wanted to see you, right? And I think when I even went in for my interview, I almost, I don't want to say I over indexed in the wrong direction, but I did have a pair of slacks, nice pair of shoes, and I had just a button-up shirt, no tie, no jacket. That is, and I was even told, hey man, don't go over the top on this, right? Like, don't show up in a Northrop Grumman professional business attire model like that company said they wanted to see you.
Mm-hmm.
When I went and interviewed with Amazon, it was very much not that, but I almost couldn't help myself. I still wanted to be neat, presentable, I'll call it medium, right?
Yeah.
Dress, if you will, right? But after spending a little bit of time in that company, if you saw somebody that you worked with show up in a jacket and a tie, that made people uncomfortable. Like they were like either going, "Oh my God, are you interviewing for another job, Mike?" Or "Hey, I'm so sorry for your loss. Who in your family just died? Are you getting ready to go to a funeral?" It was usually one of those two things, and you're just like, "Well, no, I just wanted to dress up." Well, don't do that because that kind of people that concerns them, right, when they see that. But to your point, for those who know me years ago, for 30 years in the service, Scott, 30 years, I had a flat top. I mean, man, I took pride in my flat top. I mean, it was straight up and straight over, I was probably every drill instructor's dream. I just had a head shape for it, and it was a flat man, and I had the edges so sharp if you touched it, it'd cut you. And man, it was looking good. I'll have to find a picture and send it to you.
Yeah, I want to see that.
But and I had it, and man, for 30 years, that's how my hair grew, right? I never grew it out ever. And so, as I stepped into my own career progression and I was working my way out to Seattle, right? Working for Amazon out there at the headquarters. It wasn't really overt, but you could tell. And I had a couple of comments a little bit. Hey, man, Mike, your haircut looks a little scary, right? I mean, it was like, I don't think it was overly appreciated in that environment. And I just didn't even think about it. I was just like, well, it's my haircut. It's my haircut, right? And they're like,
Yeah.
it kind of makes you look a little angry, right? It's like, and I'm like, oh, right. And so then, the comedy of, well, I guess I'm gonna try to grow my hair. Scott, I had no idea how my hair was gonna grow out. I just didn't cut it. I just let it grow out. I didn't know if it was gonna fall over this way or that way, or all the things that guys, we don't even think about this kind of stuff. I just let it grow, and then it just kind of started, being a little bit of a different style. But I just, always thought that was a little bit humorous. So, but it does go to shed a little bit of light on, environments are different, right? And is that really going to make or break you in an environment? It shouldn't be. Will it? I don't think so. But man, in your new career progression and pursuit, it's a game of inches, right? I mean, if this sets you back inches and you're going to be 3 inches short of a first down, like why would you do it? Right?
Yeah.
Like just comply. This is your next phase. This is your new, instead of making the entire corporate entity that is Amazon understand me and where I came from and why I want to have this flat top and why I want to dress a certain way, right? Well, it's not about me. Remember, it's about them. What is your environment? What is your culture? And now I'm going to step into that. Not saying that you have to give away your beliefs, your values in it. That don't, please, anybody that's listening, don't misread me on this. This is just about stepping into a new environment and a new culture and doing everything you can in your power to be a good fit. And dress is a part of that, right?
Yeah.
Anyway.
I mean, because it's ultimately it's first impressions. And
I think so.
and I think the reality is, especially in the changing world we're in, maybe style, if you want to call it that, has not been as important as it once was. But there was a time, even in recent years, where it's like if you showed up to an event, you could just tell the difference. People had fitted. I mean, fit is a big thing. Are you wearing something that's just way too saggy, that's dropping down, that doesn't fit you as well? Those are just quick triggers. Even if someone's really not judging you, they're just going to see, hey, it kind of looks sloppy or whatever. And in the military, it's just easier to get fitted uniforms on, and so I think that's an opportunity. I mean, really, the opportunity, like anything with transition, the idea is to transition, to your new self. And so an opportunity to, find what your style is.
I mean, it's a good point. Think about it. There was never a morning in our life that we ever had to really think hard about, what am I going to wear to work?
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it was your uniform.
And what I did wrong was, when I got out, I was entering the financial industry. And so, what is that? Got a gnat in front of me. And I just assumed suit and tie.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to the PX. I had 3 or 4 suits fitted.
Yep.
Eventually I was in Europe at the time. So I went to the Hugo Boss outlet, got one of their suits. I had a closet full of suits.
Yeah.
And I would, show up to this office every day, and it was just me and the other guy, and even if we had clients coming in, we were overdressed. And, one time I was going to a potential client's home, and, I drove out there. It was in the evening, and they're just, kids running around. They just got home from work. They're just in regular clothes. And I showed up in a suit and tie, and felt ridiculous,
Right.
like a door-to-door salesman type approach. And
You know,
so
it
it took me years
sure.
to just say, no, you got to find out, who you are, right?
Yeah.
What you're comfortable and then what you need. Yeah, of course, there's times to wear a suit and tie,
Yeah.
but
Sure.
maybe not to overthink it. And one of the things I did, and I've actually pulled up his YouTube channel here. I took a course.
You
Um,
got to dress.
yeah, it was called "Real Men, Real Style,"
Yeah.
and and this guy's name Antonio Centenio or something like that.
Yeah.
He's a former Marine, and
Okay.
he's been doing this for a long time. There you go. There's a photo of him and his Marine, and he's just got tons of content. I don't know if he does stuff for females as well,
Yeah.
but I'm sure there's lots of resources out there. But
Yeah.
if you got questions, or if you want to up your game,
Sure.
why not get educated on
I
the different options out there? Because there's a lot. I was shocked at like different ways to think about this that I
sure.
learned from that course.
But you hit on a very important point, and I have a similar story that I'll share. There was a bit of transition assistance through a course when I was transitioning. It was a course called Rulin, and I went through that, and it was 2 or 3 days long. It's been a while since I've been through it, but I think maybe on the last day, the third day, they spent a lot of time on talking about dress, right? And they get everybody really excited about this. Hey, this is your new phase. You got to dress for success. And man, they just really pound this and hype this, right? And so much so, I can remember that when I finished that course, that very first weekend, Saturday morning, I'm up getting ready, and my wife Michelle's like, "What are you doing?" I go, "Hey, we're going shopping." And she's like, "What are you talking about?" I'm going, "We're going to Joseph A. Banks. I am buying my new uniform set. Like, we've got to dress for success, and we're going to do this." And so we did. Like, I'm a little bit, I don't know, say embarrassed to share with you, but I took this approach. I went down, and Scott, as you remember, buying suits is not an inexpensive pursuit,
No,
right?
I spent thousands. Yeah,
I did too.
and I barely wore them. Right.
Thousands of dollars, right? And you got the matching shirts and the ties and the belts and all the accessories and everything, and the jackets fitted, and you got measured, you came back, picked them up, blah blah blah. Subsequently, I was in my progression, and I ended up going out to Seattle, interviewed for a job, right, with Amazon. And when I came back the following Monday, I had an offer and was working that path. Well, Scott, I'll tell you, like, after I accept the offer and went to work for the company, I didn't touch that new wardrobe. When I say touch it, I didn't touch it ever, not once in 5 years. I
Wow.
I didn't I didn't touch it. It was brand new wardrobe. It's set in my closet, and I didn't wear it once in that capacity
You
going
were
to work.
hoping for a wedding or a funeral to happen so you
You
could use
know,
it.
yes. And now, what is the takeaway for the listeners that Mike Wallace hates suits? No, that is not the takeaway. I love a good fitting suit. Like, I love it. But understand what is expected of you in the environment that you are pursuing. That is absolutely critical, right? If you are going to be immersing yourself in a culture and environment that requires you to have access to that dress, then be prepared, right?
Yeah.
And if not, then I'm going to say you're better off spending your funds at Home Depot or Bass Pro Shop or whatever your joy is, right? Uh, don't take that. And if you just don't know, then buy one suit,
Yeah.
right? Just one couple different shirts. That'll get you over, because think about it. Any Saturday we can go down and get fitted again for suits and stuff. That's what these businesses do. They turn on a dime. They'll get you outfitted if you need that, right? So spend a little bit of time. Know what is expected of you in the environment that you're pursuing. And that really is the message that we put out at Blue Water across the board, everything. Targeted networking, targeted resume development, target the environment, understand what's going on in the environment, understand, does the culture align with you? Is this a good fit for you or not? Know all this stuff up front. It's gathering intel and then make an assessment. Is this a good fit for me? And dress is going to be a part of that. And that's going to answer a lot of questions for members.
Yeah.
How to interview, what to wear, what do I wear to work, these kind of things, right?
Yeah. One of the things, there's a big light bulb moment for me is when I heard the story about why Steve Jobs always wore that black turtleneck. And, people kind of make fun of him for it because he
Yeah.
just always have the same thing all the time. But I can't remember who was explaining it, some podcast or whatever, and how they just did the same thing. They were like, you know what? That makes sense. Like, I'm a black t-shirt guy. So I just went out and bought like a dozen black t-shirts and I
And I'm
literally
going to
wear the same thing. So, and I think whether that's polo or dress shirts, there's a lot of, of these kind of, without going to the just the standard, Joseph A. Bank's a great store, or JC Penney, whatever it might be. There's a lot of these kind of niche companies now, and some of them are online. You can even do custom fitting online.
Sure. Yeah.
But, that's where some experimentation is going to come in, be like, get some fit of what you like, whether it's, hey, I'm going to be wearing polos for most of the time. Take some time to find the one that you really like, and then just get a bunch of those, even if it's the same color, you can wear, you can wear a different one. A lot of the concerns I used to always have is, are people going to think I'm just wearing the same clothes every day? And eventually I was just like, it doesn't matter. I'm just trying to make it simple on me, get back to a uniform, develop my own uniform. And so that's what I have now. For the most part, I have a number of these wool sweaters that I wear. They're a thin wool sweater I got from REI. I love it.
Yeah.
So I just got a bunch of it. And I pretty much wear that most time. Now, I don't go out very much because I'm just, here on Zoom calls all the time. So I'd probably mix it up a little bit more if I was, going to a workplace environment. But I just found that just simplified thing, pants, shoes, shirt, whatever it is, just find, take your time to find the one that works best for you, and just get a bunch of that. And then, later on expand on it. So that way you're not stressing out and worrying about it too much.
Well, I mean, and just one more point, just to kind of, I want to make sure that we don't put the fear in members here or listeners, right? But there is a little bit of serious side to this, right? And Steve Weeman made a comment the other day. He does a lot of hiring for Booz Allen, and he made a comment. He just goes, Mike, you would be surprised at people that are stepping into online interviews, right, with a hiring panel, right? I just want to put this in context. Yes, you've been screened. You are now on an online interview. Okay, you log in and here you go. And Steve immediately looks out there and he goes, yeah, like, it's almost like it's an afterthought. They're sitting in their vehicle on a cell phone wearing like a t-shirt, seriously, or an way opened polo shirt, and just kind of leaning back and just, chilling and having this conversation. And he was like, he goes, man, that's just not okay.
Yeah.
There are people that immediately I have just said, nope, no sense of urgency, no prioritization, right? Like, I'm not going here, right? You may look really good on a resume, and maybe on a telephone call, maybe you came across solid, but now I'm seeing the whole picture, not going there, right? So dress is a part of it, but it's overall appearance, you guys.
Yeah.
Like, in this environment, triage your background. Make sure you're framed in the camera, And for the conversation that you're having, make sure you're dressed appropriately. Like Scott, if you were interviewing with Northrop Grumman, right? Hey, you've got a suit and tie on. You're prepared to be the forward face, and the company says in their site, while we are primarily a khaki and polo shirt, make no mistake about it, we want to see you in an interview environment in professional business attire. So show them that. Don't overthink it, right? They ask for this, give them that, right?
Right.
And if you can't find that clear, concise direction, then you've got some intel gathering to do, and you're going to reach out to your network, talent acquisition, HR professionals, whatever it happens to be. Ask these questions. And if you don't know, right, reach out to us here at Blue Water. We've got hundreds of members across hundreds of different companies. I can tell you pretty much, as our members can, hey, this is how you need to show up. This is what you need to look like, right?
Yeah.
So you got to give it a little bit of thought, because if not, it's going to sound something like this. Hey, you know what? Thanks for coming, Scott. I just don't think we need to go any further today. So we appreciate your time, but thank you.
How many?
It's over before it ever gets going.
How much of the interview process nowadays is done strictly through Zoom, or what percentage of total onboarding is done through Zoom versus, hey, fly out, come into the office, meet in person?
I don't have a specific statistic or a number or percentage, but I can share with you, I think a lot. I know that's a really not scientific, but I think we probably didn't do much of it. I say we, hiring managers, companies, corporate, they did some, but not a lot. And then when we got into COVID, of course, that grew exponentially, and it opened the eyes to a lot of companies. And then, hey, we can assess talent. We can do these kind of things. And now you're on, obviously, the backside of it by a couple of years. Have many of these companies gone back to in-person, interviews? Sure. Some of them have. Have all of them? No. Do many of them still continue? Like if you talk to Steve at Booz, he said the majority of all his interviews now are online. Yeah. Right? He said, I don't remember the last time we did one in person. Right.
Or even just any exploratory networking call with a company or somebody else. The scene you described of sitting in your car, and what I know is happening is they're holding the phone and they're holding it down here and looking down, and that is literally the worst. I don't know if I can mimic it. It's just the least flattering way.
Exactly. Yeah.
And so maybe sometimes, hey, you just got to be in your car for whatever reason.
If you come to a cohort, we tell you, we actually spend just a minute or two talking to you about how to frame your online environment, right? And we have a lot of content on that, and we have direction on that. Now, I know my camera is probably not set up here, but at a minimum, it should be eye level, at a minimum. Ideally, the camera, it would be best if it would be slightly elevated, right? Triage your background. Make sure the clothes that you're wearing contrast with the background. Like there's a whole Scientology, man, behind this, right? And a lot of it works. We also tell members, don't sit. We absolutely tell members to take your camera, stack it on books, and stand up, right? I'm sitting down on a bar stool chair right now. But if I was in an interview environment, I'm going to tell you to stand up. And so look the part, build the right environment, and be that person. Why do I tell you to stand? I will guarantee you will act differently. You will respond to questions differently. You're going to think quicker on your feet. If you're on your feet, right, with your hands kind of akimbo like this, and you are ready to address questions and have a meaningful dialogue. I don't know the science behind it, Scott, but listen, it's different. I screen hundreds of people, telephone calls on at Amazon, and listen, in my mind, I can tell you probably 100% of the time with that much accuracy. Seriously, I can tell you after about a minute on the conversation, I can tell you if you're kicking back in a chair talking to me like this, or if you are up, maybe walking, talking, I can tell the difference in the dialogue, right? It makes a difference. So set up
Interesting.
your online environment like that too. I
Yeah.
know that's not the topic of what we want
Well,
to talk
no. Well, I think it nowadays it now is. I mean,
about.
it's about we're talking about, presenting yourself. And if we're thinking about investing,
Yeah.
money into buying clothes and all that kind of stuff, and yet, hey, it's just going to be a bunch of Zoom calls. Um, you know
Now
how much it
now
costs?
the environment. Yeah.
Like I have
Mhm.
a light right here.
Yep.
It's
Yep.
$50 on Amazon. The
Yeah. And
camera
you can
I
get it
use.
even cheaper than that. Yep.
Right. And so getting some light, spend some time. You can use an AI or a digital background, with Zoom or
Sure.
whatever. That doesn't seem to, if you
I
don't
think
have a
that's
good
the way
background,
down. Yeah.
put on some sort of filter at a minimum,
Yeah.
because that's been
You might want to
normalized.
stay away from, the tiki hut and the beaches in the background. And
Yeah.
that's the right environment, right? But yeah, you can just blur it or put some professional background up if that's what you want to do, right? Yeah,
Right.
I don't
Right.
think that
I
that
think
doesn't
that
ring any alarm bells.
that's been normalized.
Yeah,
Don't need to get microphones. Probably don't need to buy an external webcam anymore. But they're also cheap.
yeah, they're not
And
expensive at all.
um, but it's the one of the reasons to to up level with this stuff is that slightest bit of difference, a clear a picture. If you're seeing that your photo your video isn't just coming in as well, maybe the internet's bad. Like,
Yeah.
these things can just add up and create an uncomfortable environment, regardless of
Or a frustrating environment
yeah,
full of
exactly.
friction, right? Yeah. I agree with you, right? You have to triage it and you have to understand what's going on. So
The last aspect of this we haven't hit on yet is things like facial hair.
okay.
I know, when I got out, I just assumed I had to keep shaving every day,
Yeah.
and I was doing it because most of my clients were in the military still, and so they were shaving, so I wanted to feel and look like them, and that was fine. But I remember at one point I was getting photos done for my website, and I had kind of had this, 5 o'clock shadow thing going for a while. And I was just so stressed out. I was like,
Yeah.
I gotta take some photos with it. Cause
Yeah.
that felt more like me.
Yeah.
And I felt more comfortable that way. And also I didn't necessarily need to shave every day. And so I kind of stopped doing it. And, it took a stressor out of my life, for
Yeah.
me. And, and I just remember being, so worried that because I had a little stubble on my website photos that, it was going to backfire on me. And turns out it didn't matter. Now, I took that too far. And at one point, I grew out a beard, like a full beard, like all the way, probably let it grow for over a year.
Yeah.
And I was like, I tried to get it groomed. I tried to learn how to groom it myself. And looking back, it's embarrassing. Like I was not handling that situation properly, and but it was a learning experience. And I know nowadays, facial hair is now been a normalized thing. I think for
Yeah.
a while there, even in the corporate world. Um, so anything you're seeing on that is that I see more and more veterans out there, growing their beards, and it doesn't seem to be an issue regardless of where they're working. Hell,
Yeah.
our vice president has a beard. That's a first
Yeah.
in a
No, I
hundred
mean,
years.
uh, I do think, I think, and you threw out the term, I think that makes it's well groomed, right? I mean,
Yeah,
I think it's that. Now, I have seen individuals that are working for government contractors as field operators. So these individuals may be out into various, outdoor environments for a government contractor for maybe General Atomics, practicing their unmanned equipment tests and some things like this. A lot of these field operators, I'll call them out there. Okay, maybe, I've seen some some guys, former military guys and beards out there and everything. But I don't think facial hair is a stigma, really. I think if you're going to lean more towards big defense industry, office environment, that kind of thing, I think the theme is the same, right? Just take a look at the environment that you're in and what is expected of you, right? But I don't think you can ever go wrong if you want facial hair well groomed, right? And I think you're okay now more than ever before, right? I mean, I think facial hair is out there. I'm not seeing any or hearing anything, and I'll open it up for dialogue. I can be completely off the mark here. I don't hear anything from our members. Oh, Mike, you better make sure that guys that if they're going to pursue this company, make sure they shave before they show up, right?
Okay.
I'm just not hearing that.
Good. Okay. Well, that's good to
Completely
know.
open the door. It may be out there, but I'm not seeing it.
But key to doing it is you got to be able to grow facial hair, I guess. So sometimes
Tom says he can't grow facial hair. Tom, is that because you can't grow it because they won't let you, or is that because you can't grow it because you can't grow it? Right? Oh my gosh.
None.
Always count on Tom for great injects. I love it. Good morning.
That's funny. And I can't pull up the comment, but Tammy Bartlett commented earlier. She said, "This is awesome. I look back at some of my early post-retirement outfits and cringe."
Oh my gosh!
So
there was a learning curve. It sounds like, right?
Yeah, it's funny because that's what I wrote back. I was like, that's exactly how I felt. I've cringed at a lot, and I think I think it's fair that you're probably going to have to go through a little bit of that.
A little bit of learning curve.
There's going to be a little bit where you feel like you screwed it up. It's probably not as bad as you felt, but it's gonna, something's gonna feel like.
Think about it. We lived our life with uniform standards, right, and conduct, and we had instructions on it. For God's sakes, like we knew there was no question what was acceptable, what wasn't acceptable. In this at-will work environment, it's a little more wide open, right? I like to say you have a lot of rope at your feet, right? You can hang yourself if you're not careful, or you can kind of have the flexibility to navigate within the space, right?
And that also goes for not judging your other coworkers on how they're dressing necessarily, right? You got to be careful there.
Yeah. Got it.
Well, cool, Mike.
Good discussion.
Yeah, man. I gotta jump here soon for a call, but anything else you wanted to hit on or announce today?
We're just wrapping the year up, right?
Crazy.
Government's coming back to work, so hopefully some of our big government cohorts kicking off the year, right, are going to come around, and government's going to get funded, and so we're going to start buying plane tickets as we start to get ready to head out to San Diego in January, right? So we're excited.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I'll wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving next week.
Yeah.
We'll try to do one or two of these in December, just depending on how things go. I know you got a cohort coming up. We'll take next week off.
Yeah. But the 10th, right? We're going to do a big
we'll do an episode on the 10th because we're doing the networking event, that day. So we can kind of preview some talks on that. So
it will also do the Hampton Roads Blue Water Advisors networking event, probably the Wednesday or Thursday after the cohort, right? So very close or on or near, right? Your virtual networking event, we'll probably do an in-person one as well too, just so we can kind of get the local area cadre here plugged in face to face, wish everybody a Merry Christmas, that kind of thing, right? And it'll be good.
Yeah. No, had a lot of viewers today, so appreciate everybody joining us. And again, the links for these events are below in the description. So check out our resources. Everything's free. Reach out if there's anything Mike or I can help you with.
All right. Well, take care, Scott. Thanks for hosting, right? It's all good. And have a great Thanksgiving. I'm sure I'll talk to you before then, but have a good one.
Yeah. No, likewise.
All right.
All right. Take care, everyone.